The name of the town was Rakovec. I went to school at Rakovec till I was 14. Then I went to learn how to sew. When I was like 15, I didn't go to school anymore, but I learned how to dressmake. I was a dressmaker. It was not too many Jews. It was a big town. Next to it was Klein Rakovec, which is the smaller part. But where we lived, our house was like up on a hill. Sometimes we used to see a car, which was very seldom, going up to different places. It had like 2 small bedrooms and one room, a bigger size, which we all shared. Was supposed to be everything. We ate there, whatever. The children shared the room, like 2 children slept in one bed. And we had a little kitchen, which in the kitchen was also a little, not a folding bed, but it was like a built-up. Somebody made it out of wood, and that opened up, like here the couch is open up. That one opened up, and my parents slept there. They were watching us in the other rooms. Too much. The house, I don't know how old it was, but it was working. Everything was working. We had in the front, we had a very nice garden, which we grew string beans, corn, like not too much. We had very nice trees, which gave us plums. We had grapes. We had a very nice, what do you call that, deck, with grapes. So in the fall, like before Rosh Hashanah, we had those. And we didn't go lots of places. We went to shul every Shabbos. Shul was, I would say, a half a mile, but we all walked there. I don't remember if they studied in one Swardish and in the other one maybe Ashkenazi, I'm not sure. But we used to go to the big shul right next door. It was like the big Medrash. And that was also quite big, which people, I don't remember Shabbos, but like Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, it was 100 the most, I think.
Maybe at least.
100, maybe a little more, but I don't remember, because as I say, some of them went to the Beis Medrash. I remember it had beautiful windows like Chagall. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they were Chagall, but the color, And it had for the ladies upstairs, the men were downstairs. We had, of course, that curtain, machitza. My mother didn't go every Shabbos to shul because she had 6 children. So when I had an older brother, there were no Jews. When we came to my grandparents' place, there were many more Jews on that side. There was a mill where they made flour, baked bread. Also on that side where my brothers went to Cheder. Cheder meant like they went in the morning, and then later on they went to the regular school, to secular school. But first they went to Cheder. They used to get up like 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, they already walked with these little lamps. Yeah, little lamp everybody had to, because it was dark, we didn't have no lights, no place. Moses, they called him in school. And he went to shul with my father every Shabbos. I don't remember, Aaron was very little, in those days yet. Later on we'll come to it. He had a beautiful personality. He and I went along really very well, because I was next, and and he would go to school, and I would help him. He got up and, give him his clothes and food. My mother was sickly, so I was the one that helped out most of the time. She had arthritis, and she couldn't walk too much. She also had stomach problems, which nothing was done. I remember she used to go to doctors, to a big city. It was called Mukachevo. And she went to the doctor a few times. What I remember, her personality was a very nice personality, because all the brothers and sisters looked up to her. They always came to us, I remember. And then I had another little brother. He was a year older than Aaron, I think.
Younger.
Oh, younger. A year and a half, something like that. His name was Meir Duff. My grandfather's name was Yitzchak, and my grandmother's name was Rachel Engelman. My grandfather's name was Feitel.
Nassan Feitel.
Nassan Feitel, okay. And my grandmother's name was Yehudis, we call her. Jeffrey's named after her. I remember my father's parents were from this smaller city, which was very nice, from Solish, which you couldn't walk. And maybe some people walked. I mean, you had to go by horse and carriage, otherwise you couldn't get there. But they were more vivid than my mother's parents. They came from, my grandfather was born, let me see, I don't remember exactly, but not from a city. It had to be from a town, because they were very primitive. My grandfather was, what I remember, he didn't do anything. He was learning. He had this long beard, and he was sitting learning with the Chumash. My other grandfather, he would sell tefillin and talis. I don't know what you call that.
Tzitzis for him.
Right.
I had spent a lot of time with my mother's parents, because I used to go to school, and they lived much closer to the shul than we lived. Mm-hmm. And being in the wintertime, I had asthma, so it was pretty difficult for me to walk. Mm-hmm. So I can tell more about them. And I found that, especially Sheila and Handel, their daughters, they were single at that time. Sheila had gotten married after that, and they really took good care of me. Especially, they had cows, and they had to make cottage cheese and cream,
with cream.
With sour cream. That used to be my favorite meal there. And also, I wanted to say that as a kid, because Gloria mentioned that we used to go to school very early in the morning. So I think I started school at about the age of 6. And it was pretty rough, because as a 6-year-old child, to get up at 6 in the morning, and I got up at 4:30 or whatever. We used to learn from 6 to 8, and learn Gemara and then Chumash, and then go home for breakfast and go to secular school, which of course it was. I enjoyed secular school just as well as yeshiva, and I remember the afternoons we used to spend from about 1 to 7 at night, and in the yeshiva. And then, of course, come home and have dinner and then go do homework or whatever else. And it was pretty much a busy day for young people. But it was enjoyable. And also I wanted to say that on Shabbos, not only did we go visit the parents, but if I remember correctly, my mother's brothers and sisters used to come over for Kiddush to our house.
Yeah.
And my uncle Max had beautiful children, if you remember. I used to bring them home from shul most of the time to spend the afternoons with me, and I used to really love them. I was only at that time starting at the age of 6 till about 14 that I went through that period. At the age of 10 or 9 when the Hungarians came in, I really don't remember exactly the dates, but I think it got tough at that time walking to school. The Goyim used to stop and of course antagonize kids. I don't remember if they beat me up or not, but it got tougher. But we still continued on. I also remember when I was 14, and most of the young people, like my brother or a little older, were taken into the army, and there was nobody left to teach the younger kids. And I think.
Yes. So you were the teacher.
Yeah. I became sort of the teacher for about a year. These are Hebrew teaching. And of course, Gloria described everything much better than I can remember.
My father was in the army. He was a lieutenant or something at the stripes. And so he was more with it. And I think my mother also was a little bit, not that they were educated, but my father was. He wrote very nice, letters. My mother did a little scribble. In the morning, I would just want to have a piece of bread with margarine or butter, whatever they had, lunch. We used to come home from school. We had an hour or so. And whatever was an egg, whatever I was able to make. And the parents were not worried about that. Whatever we took. Mm-hmm. Nothing special, no tuna fish.
My mother used to bake the bread. It was really it was like rye bread, wasn't it?
Oh, it was rye bread. Also, she used to make this corn.
Cornbread.
Like you make...
Cornbread?
Yeah.
Cornbread.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and for Shabbos, we had challah, and I used to get up Friday morning and knead the things. Well, Friday night, we would have they used to buy by the Goyim these little fish they used to, they used to catch, the Goyim used to catch fish. So like Friday, they would buy a few of those. And then we had chicken soup, one chicken for 8 people. When it came to the chicken, I gave them out because I never liked it, so it was 7.
Not the skin anyway.
Right. And also, Shabbos was special. Okay, they went to shul. My father didn't eat breakfast Shabbos. And we children, whatever there was. But we had a Shabbos goy that came to put the fire on, the steam so-called, the fire on for the stove. And there they would warm. But for Shabbos lunch, we would have cholent. Now you're going to ask me how. We used to have that oven where they baked the bread and challah. So like around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Friday, they would put in the cholent that, made the thing hot. I don't know for how long the oven was on. But right after the baking, they used to have these pots made out of clay.
Earth.
And they would put in a pot of cholent, beans, whatever, meat. most of the time they would put in chicken, I guess. And Shabbos before lunch, when my father came, when everybody came home, we looked forward to that. So, but it had to be sealed. So they sealed it with earth, with soil. And the children was very good, hot. And we looked forward to that. And sometimes we had stuffed cabbage. What else? Oh yeah, onion eggs.
Okay.
That was always for Shabbos lunch.
Okay.
We used to have tomatoes because we grew them
Right.
when they were in the season. So we used to have tomatoes. Whoever liked, took a slice of tomato. And challah. And dessert, we would have when it was a season for grapes, we had grapes. If it was a season for plums, we had plums. Whatever. My mother covered her hair on Shabbos. She wore a sheitel. Oh yeah, all of them. She was, and she used to get clothes from the United States from her sisters, and Carrie and Rose. She had two
Amerikaner backlash.
So they used to send us once in a while dollars also, like if we would get $5 or $10, we could exchange it there for crowns, and you were able to buy for Yom Tov food, So she would wear some of the clothes they sent her. I'll never forget, she wore these high heels, what then Carrie wore. And we were working Shabbos afternoon. I couldn't believe that she walked with them. She almost fell, but she walked with them. She told us stories that she was in the United States, and there was a train that goes above the condos and above the houses, and that in the United States people eat treif. And she liked it though, but her sisters had to send her back for a very big reason. She was here I don't know, maybe 2 years, but
She was allergic to something.
she couldn't get her period.
Oh.
So they had to send her back home.
I didn't know that.
She was a young girl, and she came home, but she remembered everything. She remembered her sisters, and they had a brother here, Moshe Melech also. Elsie was always, she was the little one. She always said she couldn't do nothing. Somehow she was either spoiled. So she would sit by the stove. She would always warm, put her hands there. She would be nice and warm. Frida was like me. My brother, Moses, he was most of the time later on, after he finished public school, he went to Munkach. That's a big city, and they had a big yeshiva there. And then when he came home, my parents were very disappointed, but he came home with hair. He wasn't shaved, no payas. So what kind of yeshiva is that? He took up, he went to some high school, and he was very smart. And when he came home, my parents were very upset. I don't know if my mother, but my father. But when he explained that he took up, all the boys did the same thing, he took up in school being secretary.
Accountant.
Accountant. So when he came home, it started already problems with no food because the Hungarians came in, and we had no food, we had ration. They gave us these
Rations.
right. So, but he was
What year was that? Do you know what year that was?
1939.
Mhm.
1939. So he got a job in the main office. So he was like notary public also. He signed everything. So we were lucky. Sometimes he would bring us these papers, these rationing.
Rations.
Right. So we would go to the store and buy something, which was not much in the store either.
You made a lot of money at that time. So then Moshe Melech went to yeshiva and Mokach. We were very happy about that.
Yeah, but when he came home, I
When
managed
he came home,
he
they
was
really
disappointed because-
didn't even notice it for a while because he was wearing a sort of a cap or a hat, so nobody noticed until one morning when he got up and forgot to put on the hat that they noticed that. But I don't think my father, maybe my mother wasn't that unhappy because the situation at that time was such that the Jews were being persecuted and they were cutting beards off of people. So he was happy because especially that he said he was going to promise to get a position which was a very high position in the town. And I think that made him very happy to have an educated son.
He made so a couple of years we were fine. And then they called him into the army. Moses was called into the army. Moshe, yeah. So he was in the Hungarian army in Satmar. No, not Satmar, no. Sighet. Sighet, it was a big city, and it was in Romania. And happened so that my husband was the same age and was also called in to the army then. So they saw each other. So they were in the army for about a year, maybe 2 years. And in the 2 years, I went to see them. It was Purim, and I missed them terrible. I really missed them. He was the one that bought me a bicycle, which I could never ride. I fell, and I missed them a lot. So at that time, I already baked, never mind cooked, but I already sort of baked. But I made Kindle, you wouldn't believe it. The one I used to give you, I was 17, 18.
22 to 39, 17.
So I was 17. And I baked those cakes for shalachonas, whatever, to the family, just no friends. And I begged my parents that I want to go to see my brother. Well, I already that time sold, I already made also some money. So I went to see them, and all the boys came together. And sort of they got off one evening, and they made a very big party, which I never forget. That was the last time I saw him. But we had a very good time, and I brought all those cakes. And of course, I saw my husband there. And then I want you to know I walked till it was up tremendous hill. Okay, it was a tremendous mountain, never mind a hill, a mountain. But I wasn't alone. Some people walked, they wanted to go to that train. So I made it to the train, and I came there, and I had a good time with them.
My parents, I remember, as having a tough time, especially when I remember. Things didn't come easy, and I remember my father used to travel. Used to go to different markets and purchase, I think, cows or something, and sometimes bring them home.
Cattle.
And resell it to the guy. And also, I remember, of course, going to shul with my parents. And my brother, I remember, wasn't home that much anymore. The older brother, or younger brother was. And I remember we used to go to shul, and especially in the wintertime, I had a lot of trouble. My father had to carry me home. I used to get these asthma attacks.
You still have problems going to shul.
And I remember the town. We did have a lot of friends. We used to have, I think, probably anywhere from 30 to 40 children in the school, different ages and different classes, especially in the Hebrew school. We had very few classes. I remember being in the older class with the older children because I used to love Gemara and Chumash, so I used to be advanced. And I said, we used to go to school 6 days a week, actually 7 days a week. Friday was a half a day, and the afternoon we used to get off. And on Shabbos afternoon, before Mincha, the parents used to get together and the teachers, and they would really test the children how much they learned. So it was a 7 day a week. On Sunday, of course, we had a full Hebrew school because there was no secular school. What I remember mostly is being happy, getting together with all the kids on Shabbos afternoon, and we used to play games. Even during the time that we used to get during the day, lunchtime or anything, we used to play similar games like baseball. Of course, we didn't have regular bats, so we made our own sticks, like stickball. So as children, we were very happy. We didn't have much, but I guess it was okay.
My father during the week was not home. He used to come home like Thursday. He would travel from once, if it was walking distance, he would walk, he would hop the train to different places, and he was like a buyer of cattle, like calves and cows, and he would like bring them to the other city, and if he made a profit, he would sell them. And he had two or three people they went. They didn't go alone. He had always somebody go with him. We had our own cow also, which we had milk for our own purpose, and all those dairy stuff.
One correction. Didn't he also do some fix shoes? Is a shoemaker also now?
And yeah.
Am I correct?
During the week, sometimes he had somebody which came. We had all the supplies for shoemaking. How it came to us, I don't remember. But that guy, whatever he used to do with those shoes, fix them, make new shoes, I suppose. So I guess half was ours, half was theirs, which it was not much. But my father for Shabbos came home most of the time. He would leave like Sunday morning and come home like Thursday. He was a very nice man. He tried to take care of everything. He tried to help my mother. He was a very handsome guy. We don't have a picture. He was tall, very tall and skinny. It was in 1944, Pesach, before Pesach, April. The young people, I knew, my brother was away, in the army, but I knew already from the young people in shul, we were talking that there is going to be something terrible, that they want to collect all the Jews in town and send them to work somewhere. We didn't know when, but the young people, I was in a group with all the girls and boys. Avner, one was Avram Schwimmer, Josef Meyer Schwimmer, let me see, girlfriends. I had Leah, what was their name?
Leah
Einhorn, Pearl Schwimmer. I had quite a big group. So we were talking together, Chalamoid Pesach, that what should we do? Maybe we, us young people, maybe we should escape. Maybe we should go hide, and there were plenty mountains and where to hide. But I mentioned to my parents, and of course they wouldn't hear of it, and they did the same thing. So actually, out of everybody, somebody was hiding. Schmeier. No, not Schmeier. One of them, I don't remember which one. He was hiding, but he was killed. So it came end of Pesach. The second day of Pesach was very sad. Everybody knew in shul that something is going on in the Hungarian gendarme. They were very bad. They were impossible. They were chasing the girls, and there were rapes. And okay, what I remember, I have to mention this about my father, how he saved me, my sister Frida, and Elsie. one night, it was before Pesach, and it was already like very, they didn't know what was going on anymore. They were raiding the Jewish stores, and it was bad. They were beating already the children, and I think the school stopped for some reason. So one night, they used to knock on the doors in the evening and get the girls out and rape them. It was very bad. So they came one night and we were sleeping, and we were like, it wasn't upstairs, it was just maybe a few steps and then the windows. Well, of course, in our town, the windows were never locked, not even the door was locked, never. For some reason, then we started locking with a little lock the door. And the windows also had on top something, but I left a little bit open. And during the night, I was with my two sisters, and I hear somebody is coming to the windows and like talking. I did learn Hungarian with those couple of years. I learned Hungarian perfectly. So I started shivering, and I ran in. As I said, my parents slept in the kitchen on that thing, and I ran into the kitchen. I said, somebody is on the window. And then when my father turned down the light, the gendarmes started knocking on the door, but hard, let us in. So of course you have to let them in, and they came with the rifles, with everything, And I was behind my mother hiding, and the two girls were yet sleeping, in the other room. And I knew the gendarme. Why did I know him? I used to work for them. I used to make him shirts, underwear, and they came in and they were like drunk or acted drunk. One asked my father, the one that I knew, asked my father, he says, before we make a revolution here, would you give us your daughter? Meaning me. Well, I started crying, and my mother shivering. And my father says, no, I wouldn't give you my daughter. So they opened up the thing. He says, are you going to give me your daughter? So my father says, hold on 1 second. He went in the other room. And he had his hat from the army, and I'm not sure whether a jacket also. He came out with a paper. He says, look, before you take my daughter, you have to shoot me. And I was here, I'm a lieutenant. Are you going to take my daughter? They put the rifle down, and they said, we'll get you some other time. And they left. And that was the thing I remember, will never, ever forget about my father. Otherwise, all three of us, they wanted, but first they wanted me because I ran out behind my mother. The day after Pesach, usually we put away the dishes, the Pesach dishes, which they were up on the attic by us. I was doing the dishes. I didn't know anything. And I did them outside. We didn't have in the kitchen. You have like these big bowls, and you did them outside in the rinse. And my father used to put them up in the attic. So I'm in the middle of doing the dishes. I see the gendarmes are coming again. So they came up, 3 or 4 of them. And so quick, they walked up the hill. And they said to me, don't wash no dishes. You don't need the dishes anymore. I said, what do you mean I don't need them? You have to put them away for next year. Those were the Hungarians. So they started kicking the dishes away, and he says, come on, to the house. Where's everybody? So they came into the house, and naturally the children and everybody was there. It could have been maybe Sunday because the children were home. So they started collecting us, like they said, your name, and jewelry. If you have jewelry, I'll never forget. My brother had bought me a little ring, I had to take it off, give it to them. My mother had to give the earrings, whatever. They collected us, and they took us to our beautiful shul, to the big shul. The shul was already all empty out. emptied out where we were sitting, the seats, they threw them outside, and they had for the horses, they put that straw on the floor, and that's where they collected us, and we had to stay there for 2 nights. We stayed there. The whole town, not only us, the whole town. Whoever didn't
All
have
the
room,
Jews.
one on top of the other. They didn't care, they just pushed you in. You didn't have room, they pushed you away, Maybe they even killed somebody, I don't remember. My grandmother was there, my grandfather from my mother's father, he died a couple of years before, so he was not there. But Rochel, my grandma Rochel was there, and everybody.
Grandfather also died, the other one also died.
The other grandpa also died before. They had the Scots to die before, but the grandmothers were there. So then 2 days later, they told the Goyim to get their carriages, their wagons, and the horses, and push us. And they pushed us on every wagon, maybe which is room for 4 people. They pushed 20 on, and whoever didn't, and they didn't say to us. We asked, "Where are you taking us?" You're going on a trip. So whoever didn't have room on those wagons, they wanted to take us to the ghetto, to Mukachevo. And no, we didn't know that to ghetto or where they. So whoever didn't have room, they shot. Grandma Ruchel was shot on the floor.
Oh my God.
I don't remember
In
that.
front of my eyes, she was shot.
How about you?
More people. My other grandma was shot. They didn't have room, they couldn't walk. They thought if they can't walk, they'd send them home.
I didn't know that.
They shot them. Quite a lot of people were shot, so maybe they had funerals yet there. I don't know.
That memory is just one memory. I remember. I think I had just gotten a asthma attack, and I was in bed, and they took me out of bed and carried me to. If you remember that, to Munkac, the ghetto. That's where they had a ghetto. But as a kid, I remember even there. I mean, I really didn't know what to expect or what was going on. We still had a lot of my friends were there, and we still played until we got in. Really, when they put us into those trains to travel to Auschwitz, and that was a horror, scaring. People passed away in the train, if I remember correctly, and there was no sanitary conditions. A horror. That much I remember. There was no playtime anymore. I was probably 14 and a half. That was in 44. Almost 15 probably. So I was old enough, I guess, to should remember a lot, but I really don't. Maybe I blocked it out of my head. But I remember traveling, I don't know how many days, hungry, not too much food, and pushing around, standing room only probably most of the time.
And we arrived to Mukachevo somehow, not alive and not dead. We didn't know what's going on. We had nothing, no food, no nothing. They put us in a factory. It was called Teglodyar. They used to make bricks there for houses. So it was a tremendous city, but it was a tremendous loft,
Yes.
open. So they chased us in there. Whoever didn't want to go, they shot them on the place. I didn't even, we didn't know anything. So primitive that we didn't know anything. The shock killed us. We just went wherever they told us to go. So there we saw us settle down on the floor, everybody settled down. One sit on the slab, the other one, there was no room. I was together with my sisters, and Aaron went with my mother and Mayor, because my mother was in the hospital. They had to put her in the hospital. She got very sick. So they took her, and my father didn't go with us because he didn't want to leave my mother. So they were crying that my mother is sick, let them be. So they had so many people, so whoever was in charge left them behind. After 2 days, they gathered us together, and a train was waiting for us, a cattle train, you know those trains, maybe 20 of them, or maybe more. So they pushed in the first cattle, whoever, so we lost each other, you know, because they were pushing you. You had no time to look, are you here, are you there? They pushed you in, and that's it. So when I looked around in the cattle, you know, in that train where I was, I couldn't see Aaron, I couldn't see my parents, I couldn't see Mayor, just Elsie was holding on to me. And I didn't know it was Elsie even. I looked at her and then finally, we didn't even recognize each other.
We weren't together in that cattle camp?
No. So I'll tell you when I saw you. So when we arrived in Auschwitz, you know, whoever they see is not able to do anything, they push them on the side. Whoever they saw they wanted to save for work or something, on the side. You go here, you go here. All of a sudden, I go on the side, and I saw my mother, and my father, and Aaron, and the baby. I mean, the other one was older, Mayor. And I wanted to go to them, you know. They pushed me right on that side. I fell, but they pushed me out of there. So I lost Elsie. Because I was going to go to see them, I lost Elsie. Let me just breathe a little bit. Then I got up, and I was in that line, which it was thousands and thousands of people. So we didn't see each other anymore, where they shaved us, shaved off the hair, took off the clothes, and they said, you go here, you go here, you go here. I went on the side, I didn't know where I'm going, to a shower. We all showered. I'm looking, I'm calling Elsie, Frida, Aaron, nobody there in the shower. Then they gave us these striped jackets to put on, no underwear, just the coats, long coats. And we came out, and they tried to line us up. They called it celapel, counting who goes here, who goes there, who goes there. We wound up in some kind of little buildings, you know, little, barracks. What do they call them, like from a hurricane when you build something?
Barracks.
Barns?
Barracks.
Huh?
It was like barracks.
Barracks, excuse me, barracks. And that's it. I didn't know where my family is. And they keep soldiers up to almost to every person there's a soldier. If you turn around, he came right away over you. So we didn't know what we are doing and where we are. When we came in the barrack, they had like boards, which 8 people went on that board. Like you're sitting on the couch, it was a board like maybe this big, 8 people. Whoever came, whoever they pushed out. So we were there overnight, and no food, only them. So in the morning, like 4 o'clock, they came in like a storm and knocked on the barrack there, and they opened up the doors, and whatever it's called, they started chasing everybody off, hitting fast, go. You know, we came outside, they counted us up, and they wanted to take us to a number to give us the tattoo, but we didn't know they want to give us tattoo. And I went and they tattooed my hand, and they said I should remember. It is, I don't remember now, A7831. And they said, I'm 78, 31. So they made me repeat the thing. Then all of a sudden I hear the same A78, 32, and it was Elsie next to me. She had the number right next to me, from nowhere. And this is how we remained together with Elsie. And we were on the same barrack. And we started there. They had chased us out then the next day to work, and they called us by number. Every morning they came 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whenever they felt like, and they chased us out. Whether you were dressed or not, you had to go out. And they counted us always, and they put us, this goes here, this goes there, and with soldiers and with dogs. And I am so scared of a dog, I'm gonna have to tell you. So I woke up one morning, and my back was killing me. I just couldn't walk. So I didn't know if you're not gonna go, you're gonna be shot, you know. So we going out, and I'm walking like this. And the lady the girl, a Polish girl, all over Polish girls, they were the stoopmates. They took care of the people. They gave them something to eat. So the stoopmate saw me how I'm walking. She says, you better straighten up if you don't want to be shot. So I said, who is she? I can't walk. What should I do? So she pushed me out, and I was standing. I was lucky that there was a taller one in front of me, and I was behind. And when they were counting, they didn't see the way I was bent over. So they didn't kill me. So they sent us out to work. So we had to do, when they dig for water pipes, you had to put in, very heavy work. You had to bend down and dig the water, the junk out, So I couldn't do that either very well, but I tried. Since she told me, it came to my mind that I felt I have to do with all my strength. What's going to happen is going to happen. So I was digging. All of a sudden, the soldier came with a dog. And he says, why are you so slow? So I started digging faster. A miracle. He went by, I went to the other ones. He didn't shot me. We went to work every morning till we got there from June, I would say. June, we were working till December, and I was in Auschwitz till December.
When I got to the ghetto, somehow or other, after leaving a sick person, I fortunately became healthy, and my asthma had left me, and I had never had any asthma from then on until 1980. I was leaving the train. In the train, of course, I told you before the atrocities, which I'd rather not even talk about it. However, when we got to Auschwitz, I remember getting off the train where everybody gets pushed off the train. However, my situation, I believe, was a little different because they asked immediately age up to 18 on one side, 18 to 50 on another side, and 50 and over the same area where the 1 to 18 was. Now, I was not even 15 at the time. However, I went to school with mostly older boys that were especially in the Hebrew classes, and I wanted to be with them, so I said I was 18.
Who were those people?
Well, one of them was a fella here that
Billy
Baker that was here that
Willie Abraham.
Willie Abraham.
Yeah.
And also Berger, I think, was one of them.
Oh, Marshall.
Marshall was there, and somehow or other, I guess I was tall enough that they let me go with the 18-year-old, and that I survived. Subsequently, I found out that anybody up to age 18 and 15 over, they sent them immediately to the crematorium. We had to throw everything away with the exception of our shoes and a belt. And I remember that time that I had a very good pair of shoes that I brought from home with me. I don't remember whether my father made them or whatever it was. So I kept those shoes, and it was easy to walk with. So they gave us those striped clothing. My father and mother, my father said he was over 50 because they were told that 50 and over will have less of a strain of work, and they wouldn't work as hard as the 18 to 50. So my mother was 46 or 47 only. My father was 48, 49, and they both went, and so did my younger brother go with them. They promised easier work for those people, so they went to the other side. That much I remember. That was the last time I saw them.
Never saw my mother. Never saw Aaron or the little. I used to see men like it was barbed wire, everything. Where the women worked and where the men worked. So through the barbed wire, men used to come and look and they'll recognize somebody, and we did the same thing. So I'll never forget, one of the men threw a pair of shoes. He had an extra pair of shoes for some reason, men's shoes, or one was a right one, or both were right ones. I caught it and I put on those shoes. They were both either right or left, but they were very big, so I warmed up my feet. We looked for everybody, nobody. Some women recognized some men, Polish, not from ours, because we were always the last one. The Polish people were there 5 years before we were there. They had outside where we worked, they had a cook that made soup. What kind of soup it was, I don't know, because most of the time I didn't eat it. And they gave it to us at 3 people, 1 bowl for 3 people. So no spoon. So everybody had to sip a little bit and get it to the other. By the time it came to me, I didn't want it. I don't know. But they gave us every night a bread made out of, it was like straw. Not made out of flour, but made out of something. They also gave us medication for the ladies in the period. So we didn't. But that bread was in the morning, and if you're lucky during the night that nobody stole it, you had it. But if somebody stole it, you didn't have it. Mengele, yes, I was examined, but I was in that row. And that was one time they did for us when we grew the hair already. We were like sort of looking like people. So they made a row of us. They wanted to get rid of some people. So these 2 doctors came to examine us, to look at us and say, listen, you go here, you go here. So on one side was Mengele, on the other side was a regular doctor. And Mengele picked for him whoever he wanted. This picked for, I was picked on that side. And Elsie right after me. Because they called the numbers, and this is why she was right after me. So those people that went to Mengele, that we never saw anymore. And these people we had new people, nobody knew each other. We started talking. The women started talking to each other. Look, I'm from here, I came from here. So we knew when it is, and we didn't eat. They gave us the soup, so they started hitting us why we don't want to have the soup. So look, fasting and being hit, not so good. So we sort of tried to sit here and there. So that was the Tisha when it came Yom Kippur, even when the holidays. I don't know how, but somebody was always there that knew when the holiday. Either he had a paper somewhere, so he would say, like let's say in the morning when we went at Zelapel, as we were walking and they chased us, they said, today's Yom Kippur, today's Yom Kippur. So this is how we knew.
The thing that I remember after being shoved into that side with some of the people that I knew, of course, once we went in and changed clothes and had our hair cut and payas, which I think I might have had yet, I did not. Also shaved, by the way, because they shaved the middle of the head to know that a stripe, to know that we are prisoners of war or whatever. After that, you couldn't recognize anybody. So, of course, we went into the bush. We had barracks. We had a sort of beds, one on top of the other. Each person had a bed in Auschwitz with a blanket. But as we got there and we got changed, of course, we got those clothes. They shoved us into those barracks, and they gave us like a plate of a little bread that Gloria described. I don't know what it was made of. And being myself that didn't know to hide things, they called an appel immediately. Appel means counting. And of course, everybody pushed and shoved. I left my bread on there, waiting. Hopefully, when I come back, I'll find it there, because it wasn't there. So I came back, my rations for the day were gone. But the food, I don't know, was that important. I was just scared as hell. We slept the next morning early, like Gloria said, they woke us up and there's another counting. And I sort of disappeared. I was afraid to go out again. And I went to the bathrooms there, wherever they have latrines. And I hid. They counted, one person was missing. And who was that person? It was me. I was lucky enough. What I got was lashes. I don't know how many lashes, and they put me back in line. Most of the time, I guess they would just not hesitate and shoot somebody. But I survived that, and I don't remember how long we stayed in Auschwitz. Not too long, because I didn't get a number. I mean, everybody else got numbers. May have been possible I was hiding again, but I do not have a number on my hand. And we didn't stay long in Auschwitz. We were transferred, walked to Mauthausen. I don't know how far it was, and I don't remember how many days we walked, but we did walk, and I do know that probably half of us didn't make it.
After Christmas, we saw planes, and they said Russians are coming, they're gonna, free us and this and that. They started, we should walk from one town to the other, and they were killing people. It was snow, and we didn't have shoes. We had like shoes like this. So we couldn't walk. Whoever couldn't walk, they just right away shot them. There was blood all over on the snow, from one town to the other. We were less and less people. They gave us on that one big blanket, all 8 of us. This one pulled it here, this one pulled it down there. We slept underneath where they made sure they had a map where they're taking us. So we always landed where the Goyim had horses, cows. So outside they would have like room. It was with the snow too, but a little bit it was covered. So we would all cuddle underneath there, all of us, one on top of the other, one next to the other, one wherever. So a few of them, it was like a field of farms. So they could manage to take, there were soldiers to you just turn around, he was behind you. So many soldiers. We just saw trees, we saw Goyim, houses, little houses, like, it was like a farm. Most of it was like 2 farms. So sometimes I saw one of a Goyim looked out from her door. We sort of passed by her door, and she threw, and she threw some water, some bread. So whoever was lucky caught a small piece, A few of them did that within the days that we walked. So by the time we wound out in Cella, it was called Cella, Bergen-Belsen, and the Cella was like outskirts of Bergen-Belsen. So we made it to Bergen-Belsen. There, front of the place where they took us, the Germans were thrown out from there. That was April the 14th, 1945. April 14th, 1945. I couldn't make it anymore. I fell on the floor, and I must have had God knows how much temperature, because when the soldier picked me up, I was burning away. So Elsie was holding on to me. She didn't want to let go because they're going to take me away. She was the one that saved me.
Being young, I guess I was able to survive the walk, and we wound up in Mauthausen. Actually, on the way, like Gloria mentioned, we did pass through a lot of German farms, and some of us, including myself, were able to steal from the chickens beta peels, and I must say, they tasted pretty good. And we came to Mauthausen. In Mauthausen, there was sort of hills and stones that we were supposed to carry stones from those hills to build certain, whatever buildings it was. And it was really a tough job. And we found people there, especially in the barracks, that had capos that were worse than the Germans sometimes. I know one of them asked me for my shoes because I didn't want to give it to him. So he met me sometimes in the evening and he beat the crap out of me. And he took the shoes anyway. And he gave me some wooden shoes. So at first I could have gotten some bread for him, and then I got nothing. But anyway, we didn't last there long either. We stayed there and we were transferred to Gusen 1. In Gusen 1, again, we were just like, stayed maybe a few days and transferred to Gusen 2. Gusen 2 was a camp that nearby, there was a Messerschmitt factory. I mean, they were building a Messerschmitt factory. Messerschmitt was the German jets. So we were building them in a tunnel, like in a hill. And we were supposed to be digging that tunnel, and they had conveyor belts moving the sand or the dirt, whatever was out of there, and building a Messerschmitt factory. So we would go, we have like 3 shifts, and they would transfer us by trucks. Everybody, I mean, I don't know how many did you put into those trucks, and they had like German SS with, like Gloria mentioned, dogs, German shepherds, guiding us, and we'd put maybe, I don't know, 100 people on whatever, pushed into a truck and watching 4 corners. They had the SS with the guns pointing at us, and they would like call the numbers, like Gloria mentioned. Of course, I had a number, but it wasn't tattooed on my arm, but it was on my jacket, and it was like still remember it today. 67, 67, 527. And when we got to there, as I mentioned before, we had a job digging tunnels to build a Messerschmitt factory. So every morning, it was 3 shifts from 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, and then some people 4 to 4 in the morning, and from 4 to 8, I guess there was another group. But anyway, most of those people, probably 2/3 came back every day, because a lot of them were shot while they were working. If you didn't do a good job, and anybody, there was free reign, anybody was able to just take a pot shot at anybody. One night, I got very sick. And in the morning, when I was supposed to appear at my shift, I just fell down and couldn't go. So fortunately, I had some of my friends that I had. By the way, when we got there, we sort of had a few friends that we found out we recognized each other when we got to Gusen 2, and that's where we went in certain barracks. Some of us were together in certain barracks. So 2 of them grabbed me and pulled me right into the barracks, and fortunately, they called another number. They it filled in, and I wound up in that barrack for the day. I missed that shift, and once I missed that shift, I didn't go there anymore. That day, they were choosing young boys, which were my age, 14, 15, to work in the kitchen as kids that were putting coal on those big bunkers that they did the cooking for the whole camp, which was probably, 200,000 people or something like that. And I was lucky enough to be chosen as one of them. Although when I came, they chose me to be there. I got there, and they asked a big chef that was there, one of the guys, he must have weighed 300 pounds, says to me, "How old are you?" I said, 15. He said, "You were 15? He gave me a smack that I think I flew all over the floor. He didn't believe me. But anyway, whatever reason, I did find out there. I was working there, and of course, working there, I had enough food for myself. I also was able to take some certain food to my friends and throw it at them. At least I wasn't permitted to give anything. But if I was a mean person, I took a bone or a potato and threw it at them, I guess it was okay. And they picked it up and they had some food. Some of them still remember it. One of the guys, unfortunately, passed away. He was a baker in the United States, and they always baked muddy cake for me. I love muddy cake.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did I, was that a lucky thing? I don't know, God was overlooking that I got an easier job for myself, but I also was able to help other people. I guess it was 1945. They picked a certain amount of people that they would take to a death march that was supposed to be killed. So we walked towards Austria, Gunskirchen. It was a walk that probably 50% of people didn't survive. And when we got there, it was really a death camp. No food. I mean, we would get like a cup of black coffee and one slice of bread and no water. And it got to the point where I gave away my piece of bread just to have some coffee because I had a drink. And it was such a point that I think towards the end, and it was mud, it was nothing, no barracks. It was like, it's a real atrocity. And at the end, and that was in May already, I think. We were liberated in May. So I was there probably a month in that place. And at the end, I think I fell down in that mud, and my friends just pulled me out and sort of nursed me until it was a few days, I believe, until the Americans came in.
So they pushed us into this a big open loft again, and that was in Bergen-Belsen. And all of a sudden, I didn't see, but Elsie says to me, I think American people are here. The soldiers came. We got free that day, the 14th of April, 1945. And so when the American soldiers came in and they started throwing out the dead people, I mean, there was a lot of dead people. They're trying to pile them up. Well, what happened? I was among the dead people. And I was on top of and Elsie was crying. I don't know. Then the soldier came and he asked her, why are you crying? Why are you crying? Oh, I don't know, Yiddish or whatever language. She says, my sister is there and she's not dead. And I wasn't dead, probably. I must have been really with all that temperature. I didn't know what I was doing. So the soldier called other soldiers, and they picked me up, and they took me to Cella, where they have a sanatorium. They had soldiers there, regular soldiers. They took me there, and Elsie was crying. She said she wants to go with me. So they took her also. So she came with me. And she was like hitting me. She said, wake up, wake up. I was out. How can I wake up? So they put me in that hospital. That was in April. I was there till September. Everybody came home. I was in Cella till September, shortly before Rosh Hashanah.
The Americans came in and, of course, gave everybody food. And as a matter of fact, I think they supplied a lot of chocolates and food, and a lot of people ate too much, and a lot of them died after that because I think they overate. I could not eat anything for days, just drink. So after a while, I came to myself, and my friends were with me, and we would. I think the Americans, if I remember correctly, gave us a place we had to stay, and we we started organizing. I mean, they went out, the other ones more than I did, and brought in food from the Germans, and whether they got things willingly or I'm sure the Germans didn't object those days to give anything because they were scared of everybody. But the Americans kept us alive and gave us pretty much everything that was necessary. A lot of them were hospitalized. I was hospitalized for about a week or so, but I came to myself very fast. And after a while, after about a month, I believe, that we were in there, they asked everybody. Of course, they took all the information. The Germans had kept very good records. They found the names of everybody that was there. And subsequently, even after the war, when the Americans were able to get all the information about all the prisoners that they had.
And how did I come home? They put us all, whoever was in that hospital. Elsie was working in the kitchen to wait for me. So she would bring me food, but for weeks I didn't eat, just drink. The doctor came, a Czech doctor. I was even on the radio there. Not only me, but all the people that were there. But Elsie heard my name. and she made friends with another girl, and that girl came home with us. And they would bring me different food, from the goyim there. We were free, they were allowed to go already. But they only let me eat whatever they gave me from the kitchen and the medication, so I only had like soup with them. One day she brought me something else, and I sort of ate it, but I got very sick. So they brought for themselves outside food. They didn't want to eat from the kitchen. So we were there till September, Elsie and I. And we came when we were ready to go, they asked us where we want to go. I didn't know if somebody's home. Elsie didn't know. Nobody told us. So they said they're taking us to Prague, and we're going to rest there for a week. And from there, they will try with people, to announce that this transport came in, and if somebody knows somebody could come and pick them up.
So the Americans transported us by cars, trains, whatever it was, by cars, I think. They transported us to Prague, and Prague at that time was occupied by the Russians. And we came to Prague. They gave us all kinds of packages and foods and everything else. Came to Prague because the Russians took over. And not only did they give us anything, but they took everything away. And of course, they told us that we can go home by train. The trains were operating from Prague, but of course, the train were operating where you couldn't get on there. People were standing were on the roof, they were on stairs, and whoever got on was able to get on. Of course, there was nobody paid for the train or anything, but they traveled at odd times, and somehow or other, I made it to as far as I don't remember how far the train went. Was it Warsaw, Munkac, or whatever? Munkac, I think.
Munkac.
Traveled to Munkac, and from there they also had a train going to Bilka, didn't they?
To Bilka, yeah.
So somehow I got a train where it was about maybe 4 miles from Rakowitz to a town. And from there, I think I was able to walk.
They gave us food on the train, but we were on a sleeper. I couldn't lift my head up yet. So we were on sleepers, and we came to Prague, to this nice place. It was like a hotel, and we were there maybe a couple of hundred people. I made a friend with somebody, and he was from Greece, and his sister. And they were so friendly with me because the sister was also sick. He says, listen, you don't have nobody, your sister and my sister, come, let's go to Greece. And we'll find our parents, maybe they're home. And we already signed up. So then a Czech person comes in, nurses came in to see us. And they said, did you hear from somebody? I said, not yet. Who would you like to know? Can we sort of let one go? I said, yes. My parents' name is Jacoby, Jacobowitz at that time. And my sisters, Frida, Moses, Aaron, and Meyer, whoever will answer, or I don't know who's home. Frida was married already. Frida was home, my sister Frida. She was married, and her husband was very shrewd. He somehow found out that I'm in Prague, and we are about to leave Prague a few days later, and they told, it was on the radio, that this transport that doesn't have where to go, they pick their own place where they want to go. So when they came to me, they said, you want to go to Greece? I said, no, I changed my mind. I want to go first home, and whoever will be home, I want to go home. Why did I want to go to Greece? Maybe my parents are home, maybe my siblings are home. So I changed my mind. They were very angry at me because they really liked us. But I said, no, what am I doing? Came something to my mind, I want to go home.
And when I came home to Rakowitz, I found Frida there and my future brother-in-law. The emotions were, it's unbelievable, I don't know. It was like coming back, here's amazing.
My brother-in-law was a very shrewd guy, and he found out that I am on the train. I'm coming to Budapest. And when we came to Budapest, the other people went to Greece. I came to Budapest with Elsie, don't know anybody. So then they brought other people over. We stayed a few days to rest. And one day, I see my brother-in-law and Martin. Martin was fat like this. I didn't recognize him. And my brother-in-law I recognized, but I knew he's single. I knew him as a single guy, but he looked very old already, you know. And he comes over to me and he says, "Die weißt, ich bin dein Schwager. You know I'm your brother-in-law." I said, "What do you mean you're my brother-in-law?" So he says, "I married your sister, Frida." My sister, Frida? You got married already? I was shocked. So he already told me who was who, but I was very sick, so I didn't understand. I was still... Anyway, he brought me some food, and he talked to me so nice, and he says, "Your brother Aaron is home." And Martin says, "Gitu, you don't recognize me?" I said, "Martin, you got so fat." I'll never forget. I said, "You got so fat." I didn't even like him anymore. He was so fat. He was such a handsome guy. Well, mind you, he was swollen. He was swollen still from food he ate. So we came home, and my sister got married. They brought me, and I saw an Aaron. They brought me home to their house. And let me just finish this. In that house was my uncles and aunts. That uncle never came home. He had 4 or 5. Shmuel Bear. Jonah is named after him.
Shmuel Bear,
He was my father's brother, the youngest brother. And he had a house in Rakowitz, a very nice house. That house was sort of not broken. Ours was broken up. So when I came home, they told me this is Uncle Shmuel's house. Okay. And Frida was there, and I got very excited, and Elsie. And my Aunt Cyril was there. She was the cook. She cooked for the whole gang, for a lot of people. And the rest, I don't remember after. He'll fill you in on this. I don't know what happened.
I don't remember if my friends were there already or not. I don't think so. They come a little later. But anyway, when I got there, it was like a kibbutz type of living.
They organized.
as organized, and I don't know where they got the money for things, but I stayed there not very long, if I remember correctly. They were freedom and Monica wanted to get married. So, of course, we had enough people there to a million, and I was the one that gave it away.
Oh, yeah?
So anyway, I stayed there. I don't remember how long really, but I didn't have any situation. I wanted to go and find something.
I didn't have no idea what to do, where I am. I came home, I was crying, where are my parents, where is my brother? Didn't know anything. Anyway, they took me first to see this lady. I used to sew for her. Her name was Maria. And we were very good friends. She was young like I was. And I went over there and she says, "Oh, you came home. Oh, that's so nice." She says, "I have all the stuff you made. I will give it back to you. I did all kinds of handwork, like I have the challah cover, I have the tablecloth that I embroidered, napkins." She gave me everything back. She says, "I kept it for you. It was in a plastic. I don't even know where she took a plastic from. They didn't have any, but it was in a plastic, and she gave me back, and we kissed. Her husband was dead. He was killed."
I really don't remember exactly how they came in, but I do know, I remember that Gloria looked very faint, and Elsie, they were hugging and kissing me.
You don't remember?
I was a kid brother. I remember Elsie used to comb my hair. We also went to visit some of our neighbors before the war. I think my parents had given them some stuff to put away for us. And some of the things were my older brother's suits. And I came back, I know I got back 1 or 2 suits from them, which fit me perfectly at the time. And they were really most beautiful suits.
They were much better suits. Going back to Aaron, he didn't sit for a minute. He was always here and there and there, and here he couldn't find them. Anyway, he says to me one day, "Look, I'm going to Prague, and I heard that if you register there, we can go from Rakowitz we can come back to Czechoslovakia, because Rakowitz was Russia, and so was Ústí nad Labem, Russia. But he says, we go back to the city and we'll do something there. Anyway, I was very weak yet. I stayed home till after Rosh Hashanah. What happened, Martin came to our town and the shul was opened, and he was the chazan. And we were not married yet, but he stayed in the house. Aaron says it was a big house. As far as I remember, it was a small house. But anyway, everybody had somewhere there to sleep. Everybody stayed the holidays, and after the holidays, Aaron says he's going to Prague. He said to Martin, and Martin says he's going with him. So they went to Prague both. And Aaron came, and they registered us, that Martin will come back and we get married, or I'll go there single, I don't know, whatever. So Aaron came back, and Martin didn't. He already got the farm there. He already organized it, took over. So Aaron came back and he says, look, I have the papers for you and for me and for Frida. We're going back to Prague, to Ústí nad Labem, Prague, wherever. The city where Martin took over was Petrovice. It was an outskirt of Ústí nad Labem. It was like a town, a big town, farms, all kind. He had a big farm, he had horses, cows, whatever. So Aaron came back, he said, look, Gloria, here I have papers and we can go back. So that's when we started organizing who's going back and who's not going back. I wasn't feeling yet that great, but I was ready to go. So my sister was pregnant already, Frida, and she didn't tell us. And my brother-in-law says he's not going, he wants to be there. And we said, don't worry, we'll follow you. So Aaron says, okay. So I went with Aaron, my Uncle Max, the people that he mentioned, they all came with us. So we started walking until we hit another town. Anyway, we got ourselves first on the train and we passed Romania. in Romania, he has some cigarettes or something. I don't know, he was selling, businessman.
So I went to Prague back again. I wanted to see if there's anything I can find to do
To make a living.
other than sitting there and vegetate. So I went to Prague, and some of the friends were already there, and they sort of confiscated some German farms from in the Sudetenland. I heard about it, and they were farming, or whatever they were doing, but took away, and they went into business, and they were able to do that by the Czech government, permitted for these people that came back from camps, or soldiers that were in the army, to confiscate German property and get it. So I heard some people they did, and I went to visit them, and I even found Martin, I think that was there, or Martin, that also had a farm. So I don't know, I visited them, and they asked me to stay. I stayed for a while with each of them, but none of them offered my partnership. So I decided, I understood, I didn't smoke those days, but I know that American cigarettes were a big commodity. And I found out that those were available in Budapest, and they were a big commodity in Prague. So how I managed to get some money, I don't know. I don't remember, but I know I went to Budapest and purchased many cartons, a suitcase full of American cigarettes, and brought them to Prague. And I was able to make a big profit on that. I did that trip on the cigarettes twice. But things got tougher after a while. The Russians started tightening up on the borders. The borders weren't that easy to cross. So I think I made that trip one more time with cigarettes. But I remember when I bought those cigarettes and coming to Prague, and the trains were surrounded by police, and they checked everybody, and whoever was not where they belong could passport, cards, and the only cards that we have was what they gave us, and the Americans when we left Germany, so we got some kind of identification as to who we were. So I remember they surrounded, nobody was able to leave until they checked everybody, but I knew that I was hot. So I took a chance and walked down the steps and walked directly to a soldier and said to him, "Here's my card, but I would like to know how to get to a certain street." I said, I just came home from camp, and I said, that way. And of course I left, and I was able to do my business as usual. And then I went back to Rakovec, and I said, things are getting tough, the borders are closing up. They already did not let people out the regular way anymore. You could not take a train no more to go back to Prague or anything like that. So I think you, Kamhersh, and who was my uncle, two uncles, and who else? Elsie had left earlier. She went to Germany with her husband. Now they ran away prior to me coming back. When I came back, he wasn't there no more. Frida and my sister Frida and her husband, at that time, he said that he's not ready to leave. He felt that he should stay and sell the property that he has and all that. He already had sort of a management at that point, and he says he's going to come later. And he wanted us to go first. So we gathered Gloria, my two uncles, and who else? Anybody else with it?
Yes, Ari.
Yeah, another cousin, sort of related, Marcus. Seal was here, was already. Oh, Cecile was with us also. No, no, she was here. She already was in Czechoslovakia.
I don't remember.
With the two uncles.
No, she was
Uncle
already in
Hamhersh
Max.
and Max. Max was
Uncle Max.
Alex's father. And we know Hamhersh.
What year was this?
That was in
1945.
towards the end of 45.
Yeah.
It became very tight, and we decided those people decided I was able to convince that it's time to leave, or otherwise you'll be stuck in Russia. So we decided to go across borders. First of all, we went across the Romanian borders, which bordered that area. Destinations was to get back to Prague, or go back and try to get confiscate some farm, or do something, whatever. I don't think we were even thinking of the United States. It was like, one thing at a time, just to get out of to be in a free country. Although even though Czechoslovakia wasn't that free, but it was certainly better than inside Russia. And that area, Rakowitz, became certainly part of Russia. That was an annex, and that was real Russia. So we started walking, I guess, to the Romanian border. We did cross the Romanian border, and Romania was a country that for money you can do anything. All you had to do was open your arm and give somebody and you can go. So from Romania we had to cross the border to Hungary in order to get to Prague. Hungarians wasn't that easy. So I think we walked and we got turned back once or twice. But anyway, the Jewish committee there, I think, came in and got us out, and we tried again one night, and we did make it to Hungary. And from Hungary, somehow, we did make it to Prague.
Aaron we had from my father a gold chain that the woman gave us back or something, somebody gave it to us. And it was a long chain, heavy gold. So Aaron sold it for money, and this is how we went through. To make the story short, we got to Ústí nad Labem at night, where somebody came to see us, a friend from Rakowitz. He recognized me, and we were hugging and kissing. So he says, you know what? I have a store here in Ústí nad Labem. I have a big home. You can sleep over by me, and then they'll find for you who will look for you. So I said, oh, that's very nice, but I didn't shower maybe 3 days. How can I even go in? So he said, don't worry about it. He took us all in. He gave us something to eat, very good, and we showered. Don't ask what we left there. We must have left the whole concentration camp. The clothes we were, anyway, but he was wonderful. So Martin says, I can take you home with me. I have a farm. I said, how can I? You're not allowed to go, a woman to go to. I'm not going. So I said, he stayed there 2 days. After 2 days, Martin came, and Martin's sister came with us too. Yolanda. So he picked me up and Yolanda, and he took us back to his farm. Right. And Aaron came also to the farm also. We celebrated Christmas there. Yeah, the Goyim, Hanukkah, right? And so we got there, and I got married February the 10th, 1946. They all prepared. They killed cows and whatever. They prepared a beautiful. The Goyim helped. They were very nice, the Czech people, even though they were under Russia, but we spoke Czech perfect, and they were very nice. The mayor as a matter of fact, Martin was part of either a mayor or whatever. But then the other guy brought all the people, and my wedding was celebrated a whole night. The people slept there. The room there was. The following morning, I have to make breakfast. Yolanda and Aaron is there, and the people that Martin took away the farm from. And she was an anti-Semitic. She came over and she said, I should go and milk the cows. She knew I'm married to Martin, and I should go and milk the cows. I never milked the cows, and it stank till high heaven. I didn't want to go. So Martin was out with a horse somewhere, and I started crying, but Martin came home, and I said, she wants me to go in there. I should go. So he took the fork that you pick up hay, a fork.
Pitchfork.
Right? He took it. He says, look, if you and I are going to leave my wife alone, this is how you're going to wind up on this. He wasn't afraid. He had a gun.
I went to yeshiva first. I went to Marienbad. I left that area. I found out that there was a yeshiva in Marienbad where was the a resort area where it was a beautiful place where Americans used to come and spend their summers there, used to bring their cars, and it had like the natural, what do you call it, wells that people used to bathe in. It was supposed to have been health spas and beautiful hotels. And I went there, and of course they did have that yeshiva. They had it in a hotel. There was about maybe 40, 50 students from different parts of the country, from different countries also. There was from different part of countries. And that was supported, I believe, by the American Joint. We had to sleep, we had to eat, but we did not have money, so we had to go out and do part-time work. I did learn the yeshiva. I also worked as a part-time plumber, that I had learned a little bit what to do. And of course I went to secular school. It was like a full-day job. But I learned some things. I learned some in the yeshiva, I learned some as a plumber. I learned, and I learned in school. I went to sort of high school there, which, of course I didn't have to pay for it as a survivor. They gave everything for nothing. And I stayed there, I'd say about a year. I was probably 17 when I got there to the school, and we were supposed to all get visas to come to the United States as students. Somehow or other, in 1948, the country turned communist. The president of Czechoslovakia was killed, and the communist regime took over in Russia, and Czechoslovakia became real satellite of the Soviet Union. Everything became difficult to get. Food was not available all of a sudden. Overnight things disappeared, and things became very difficult. And in order to get, I guess, a group visa, we couldn't get a group visa. And by the way, before that, we already known that we had relatives in the United States. So we kept in touch with our relatives, and they were able to send us visas. However, you had to get permission from the Czech government to leave also. Not only did you have to get visas to come to the United States, although those visas were only sent, but it was a quota. You had to have a certain amount of people a year that they permitted to go to the United States. I don't know whether that quota was immediately that time, or we had to wait for a while, I'm sure, until we get our actual visa to leave. But that time in 1948, everything became difficult. And I think at that time I was 17 or 18. 48, I was 18. I was almost 19, and I was supposed to go into the service at that time. So they called me in to the service. I don't remember how I was able to pay off or whatever it is. And fortunately, my visa came through at that time, and I got permission from the Army to leave, and I was able to leave.
Finally, they got us the papers. We heard from this one's good. You have to register for the quota. We all registered. So we have to wait. So what do? Rose was born, and I couldn't go because she wasn't on the papers. So I had to call, and my aunt told me specifically in the first letter, Gloria, if you want to come here, please don't have children. It's very hard to get papers. People don't want to give papers here for refugees. It's very bad. No, what happened? An accident happened. I was pregnant. Fine. So I had the baby. So Aaron was working. He was already making a little bit of money selling this, selling that. Right. And then after I had the baby, she was 4 weeks. She was 4 weeks old. Then my aunt, I wrote a letter and I said, I'm very sorry, but I have a baby. And I don't know what to tell you, but whatever money we will have here, we will bring it if we have any, and we will pay for it. Well, she was a little peeved and carried, but she sent me another letter, Mazel Tov, $75. Then, fine, it went, the quota didn't go. We waiting and waiting and waiting. Rose was 11 months old. Erin got the permission, we got the permission to the quota to go. So we got the papers.
You got first, I got later.
You had later. So
later.
I got the papers. And what happened to Rose? She got the measles. And one night she got so sick that we had to take her, like she was like almost dead. She couldn't move even. So I had a lady, a doctor, in Ustinatla, and we lived there already. So there was very nice, it was a very nice city. So the doctor said to me, listen, she has to go to the hospital for a few days, she's very sick. I said, we have to leave. 2 days later, she says, I'm sorry, you want to leave your child? You can go. No, not leaving. So we have to go to the council and tell them with papers from the doctor that we need to postpone our trip. So they postponed it for 4 weeks. 4 weeks later, it was so strict already that we almost didn't get to go. It was 1949. We didn't have a private ship. I mean, a regular people ship. It was only army ship. I remember correctly the name SSUS Shark. It was a shark, believe me. So men and women, we were women in the rooms together and the men extra. I never knew where Martin is. The baby started walking. She walked and I got sick on the plane. Of course, we were downstairs on the water practically. And I walked around, excuse me, throwing up. And the baby ran away from me. So some people were very nice. They tried to catch her, bring her back. Finally, April the 5th, 1949, we arrived to Ellis Island.
I came to the United States as an 18 and a half, or 19-year-old, and I saw things that I really liked, and I wanted everything. So I came to the United States. Our aunt and uncle picked us up at the boat, and of course, in Czechoslovakia and Ustinadla or in Prague, I had some money already, and to the point where before I left, I called my uncle and aunt and told them to withdraw their tickets to travel to the United States, because I found I was able to pay for it in Czech money. So they were able to get their money back, and I paid for everything in Czech money, to the point where I had probably a first-class trip. I flew from Prague to Sweden, where I stayed in a hotel. It was part of the ticket that I bought, where I stayed in a hotel with all the sports people. And we stayed there 3 days with food and entertainment. And there was a beach that we went to, whatever play areas where all the sports people wanted to exchange money. And I was not the lazy one to go to banks. And I believe I made the commission $100 there while I was there. And then, of course, I was on a Gripsholm ship, which was a luxury Swedish ship. And as being under 18 or whatever, I couldn't travel anything but second class or first class. I was able to travel second class. And it was the most beautiful trip for me that I'd ever experienced. The ship was beautiful, the food was excellent, and when I arrived to the United States, my uncle and aunt saw me dressed the way I was. They said, "You don't look like a refugee."
My uncle and aunt, they asked us on the ship, your papers, they took away from us everything, all the papers. They checked us with the doctor whether nobody has tuberculosis, that. Never gave us back the papers, which I miss them right now. That's why I don't get any money from Germany. I had nothing to show. So anyway, the uncle and aunt came. First they said to Hayas took us over. That was in 1949, April the 5th. The Hayas took us over and called my uncle and aunt, your company is here. So either they were afraid to come, that they will have to take us home to them, or they were going to have to pay. I don't know, they were probably not that rich, but they were nice that they got us from other people's papers. So they came already when the Hayas took my name, Martin's name, the baby's name, and they were going to place us somewhere. Before they put us in a car, Uncle came and carried, and of course I didn't recognize them, they didn't recognize me, but they said the Hayas has the names here. So they came over, and I was wearing like a short dress. I was all of maybe 100 pounds, I was very skinny. So my aunt says to her uncle in Yiddish, she says, "Man darf verkaufen a dress, you have to buy her a dress." So the dress was okay, but it was too short for her maybe. So anyway, they didn't take us with them. They said, "We're going, the Hayas is taking us." The lady was very nice from the Hayas. And she says, "Look, we're taking you to the hotel on 105th Street, Broadway." It was called a name. I don't remember it. Maybe I will, but right now it doesn't come. It was special a hotel from Hayas for the refugees. And they gave us one room, and they brought us, and it was very hot. It was the hottest day of April, April the 5th. And I came in that room, a little room, and it was very hot, and I was very nauseous, very sick from the thing. So I said, we can't be here, it's very hot. So she said, "Don't worry, you'll get used to it." I said, "Okay." So we stayed 6 weeks there. And I got used to it. And we went down breakfast to the dining room downstairs, but hundreds and thousands of people. No, everybody had them. It was the biggest hotel. They threw it down, so that's why I don't remember the name. And we stayed there 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, they said that they have a place for us in California. Somebody will want us in California. I said, "Well, is my uncle and aunt in California?" They said, "No, your uncle and aunt cannot take you." "I'm not going." I started crying. "I'm not going. I don't know anybody in California. I came here to my uncle and aunt." So they said, "We're going to call your uncle and aunt. If they get you an apartment, you will stay here." So my uncle and aunt, they tried. They couldn't get no apartments available. They tried even to give money. Finally, Martin found out he has an uncle in Connecticut, Bridgeport, Connecticut. So he got a hold of a telephone number and he called him. He came, he was very happy to see us. And he says, "Don't worry, you're not going to California. If you want to come to Bridgeport, I'll be happy to take you. And you'll go with my," he was in liquor business, very rich guy. So I didn't want to go to Bridgeport. I only wanted to go to Richmond Hill, where my uncle and aunt is. So what do? So I cried to them, and my uncle and his uncle says, "You know what? If you want to be near your family, I will fix up I will get you an apartment." The things were not that great. Martin couldn't get a job. He was somehow singing as a cousin here and there for a few dollars, And then finally he did get a job, as a presser somewhere. And from there we moved to a house. I used to have dreams every single night. I would get up, be angry. I remember, this is one thing I must say, I went to the beauty parlor for a haircut. I was in Kew Gardens, and I had short sleeves, and I had the number on my hand. And Kew Gardens was full of Germans and German Jews. So I came to the beauty parlor, and maybe they never saw a number on the hand. And this lady, which I didn't like the looks of her, she said, "What you got there? How is he there?" So I said, "My telephone number." That's how angry I was. That's what I told her. I have 2 children, Rose and David. They are married. And I have 4 grandchildren. And I have 6 great-grandchildren, which I'm very fortunate. The youngest is a year old from the great-grandchildren. and they are all wonderful. I want to say to them that they should never have to go through the things I went through. They should be strong, and if they should keep to be alert, and they should always see what's happening and fight. And hopefully that we should have peace in Israel and the whole world. And they should be well and have their children not go through, nobody ever should go through what we went through.
Well, let me say this. At the beginning, I was very angry, and because I could not look at anybody German or any kind of products. As we live on and go along, and we have our own families, and we try to bring them up in a normal way, and it was very difficult because I had no model to work on. But anyway, I appreciated everything that has happened to me and us, to be able to, which I never expected to have as at the time I was in prison, to have a family, children, grandchildren, and wonderful children and wonderful grandchildren, which I pray to God that they should grow up and be good people, observe the Jewish religion, fight for Jews and fight for Jewish religion, and fight for the state of Israel. And hopefully Mashiach will come and will liberate everybody.